Well, welcome to the October 2024 business meeting. Thank you all for coming. I want to give a couple shout outs. Sue Smith, where are you, Sue? I think she's probably at the table there, for organizing a fabulous lunch. And we've got some great helpers. Denise Stuber, Leslie Densmore, thank you for helping out with today's meeting. We also have a couple other announcements here before we get started. Barry Bloom has asked that there you are. You want to stand up, Barry? So we have a last-minute personnel change on one of the garden consultation projects. So if anyone would like to assist with the North Garland Baptist Church, it's 4 acres, and they're looking for support for their vegetable and fruit orchard. So we need 3 to 4 volunteers and a leader. So if you are interested in helping, please contact Barry. That would be maybe 2-3 consultations, and then maybe an annual visit after that to see how they're coming along. So it's not a continuous volunteer involvement, so to say. It's just getting them started. Another announcement here is the Raincatcher's Pansy Sale. So it's going on now until Sunday the 27th. So mark your calendar. There's some details in there. I want to say $21 a flat. Is that right, Lisa? So without further ado here, I would like to introduce Fran Powell. So to know Fran is to love Fran. So come on up here. Fran has been a Dallas County Master Gardener since 2011. Fran abhors waste and believes that giving items a second life is better than recycling. Fran also likes to reduce money. She practices the philosophy of recycling in her home as well as in her garden. Fran is a member of the Dallas County Master Gardener Speakers Bureau, and in addition to her frugal gardening talk, which we're about to benefit from here shortly, Fran also speaks on roses and earth-kind roses. So without further ado.
Good afternoon, everybody. Some of you have already heard this speech, but some of you thankfully haven't, so there'll be a nice surprise. Although I have added a few things over the years. I used to get lots of gardening catalogs. I used to love gardening catalogs. I used to go through gardening catalogs. And I would see all these great things, and then I would look at the price, and I would think to myself, you gotta find a better way. So I keep on finding better ways. So I really believe in frugality, always have. And I think when you can spend a lot of money in your garden on things to support the garden where you should be spending it on seeds and plants and stuff. So there's lots of stuff in gardening catalogs that you can spend a lot of money on, but you don't have to. You can recycle and you can resave. How many of you have gone to get a chicken at the grocery store? Makes perfect little mini greenhouse. You could spend $40 on that in a catalog, but you cut holes in the top and you have a little mini greenhouse. Political signs. All of you have seen political signs, right? They all have these great wires. These get left over, right? And you can spend a lot of money on something to support your plants. But you get these and you bend them down, and there's the support in your garden. I live in a zero lot line house, so I have a very narrow flower beds, and particularly my irises are always falling over. This keeps them up. Haven't spent a penny yet. And you can do them this way too. You can bend them down. They're very easy to bend. Even I can bend them. You can do these in different ways to support plants as they're fairly short. And I promise you, you can get those for free on November the 6th. Anybody who's running for office is going to be glad to get rid of those. So here's the seed starter kit. $40. $5 at the grocery store, and you get to eat the chicken first. It's a no-brainer. These little pots that you can buy in the catalogs, and anybody ever use those little net things that are supposed to disintegrate? You put your seeds in, it's supposed to disintegrate. I find them years later. Drives me nuts. Something you use every day in your house, guaranteed. Every single one of you uses these. Toilet roll. So what do you do with your little greenhouse here? You stand up all your little toilet rolls. You put your greenhouse top on the top. Take it off when the seeds are going. One of the best ones I discovered, mushrooms come in these. 4 or 5 stand perfectly in these little things. Don't throw it into recycling. Use it around your house. We did I volunteer with MetroCrest Teaching Garden, and we did a program last year where we saved hundreds of these things, and we did a class on how to start your seeds in toilet rolls. What's the advantage of it? You don't disturb the roots when you plant it, because you don't take the seed out of it. This will disintegrate within a couple of weeks. So when you've got your seed growing nicely, you dig your little hole in the ground, you sit the whole thing in the ground, and it'll disintegrate. Don't disturb the roots. Better than any of the other things. These are ones I did, a number of years ago before I discovered the chicken. I was using clear ones, but it's very easy to start your seeds in toilet rolls. You can spend a lot of money on labels, but you don't have to. I'm sure all of you already use plastic forks to mark things in your garden. Plastic knives, plastic forks, because you can write on them. Cutting up a yogurt carton works very well. It's the pen that you write on actually stays longer for some reason on a carton like that than it does on the plastic knife. Pineapple can. We learned from somebody who works for the Department of Agriculture, right? She does all over the world, goes and inspects factories that prepare food for the American market. It's a 3-part can, not a 2-part can. You have to be able to take the bottom and the top off. So this one has already been top and bottom taken off, squished down, take the label off, easy enough to do, paint it black. Michael's, occasionally I do have to spend money. Michael's paint, write the signs on, and one little trick. These cans, one side of the can has like a little ridge on it, and consequently you can't get the fork in. Had to spend money on these too. I tried the plastic ones and they break, and you just put the fork in such a way. There's your label. And the only thing you spent the money on is the fork, because you've already eaten the food out of the can, so that doesn't count. But we're doing that at MetroCrest Garden. All of our pollinator beds right now are having that kind of signage, and it's very big, and it's easy to read, it's easy to paint. So we've got them all over the place there. You know, and tin cans are the gardener's best friend. Here's a 2-part can. It means you can't take the bottom off. It's pressed. I have trees that keep on coming up in my garden. There's a hackberry tree, I think, is something here that's just a weed tree. Try digging that sucker up, it never comes up. You're digging it up every year. But if you dig a hole around that tree and then you invert the can tight over the top, cover it up with your mulch, nobody knows it's there. Plants have to have light, right? You've just killed the light to the plant. Now, in my garden, I dig up these cans every now and again from years ago, and there's nothing underneath them. So use your tin cans. They don't just have to be recycled. Tennis balls. Any of you play tennis? You know that the life of your balls eventually go out. If you know somebody who plays tennis, ask them for their old balls, because they're very useful in the garden. If you have to have some sort of netting protecting your plants, if you just put the netting over the stake, what are you going to do when you take it off? It just goes through it or tears it or anything else. You put this on top of your stake, the net just pulls off really easily. Here's a whole vegetable garden that's completely netted because this garden gets pigeons. It happens to be in England, and the pigeons will eat everything in that garden. Has to be netted. So you put in the stake, you drill a hole in the tennis ball, and you can drill different angled holes if you want to. But yeah, find somebody who plays tennis because they never know what to do with their tennis balls, and now you have a great use for the tennis balls. Back to the signs. Somebody told me about this, and I have these around my compost bin. Nothing will grow through that plastic. You can put cardboard down, the weeds come up, anything. You lay these down on the ground, overlap each other, you are killing your weeds beautifully. And as I said before, find somebody who ran for office. They don't know what to do with these. Golf clubs. Those of you who play golf, cover your ears. My sister, after her husband died, discovered a set of golf clubs in the garage, and she was going to be planting some trees. So she decided to support the new trees with the golf clubs. Very useful, they're very sturdy. She also said if you have the woods, the woody ones that are smooth on the top, she used some of those that pull the netting over a plant that was very high. So she didn't use the tennis ball in that case, she used the wood golf club. Coffee filters. If you go to an estate sale, you can pick these things up for a box of these for $25. I've been using these for so long, I'm nearly out of them. But if you're planting in pots, everybody always says put the rocks in the pots. But what happens to the soil? The soil gradually runs out of the bottom. Take your coffee filters and you overlap them in the bottom of the pot. You can put 3, overlap them in the bottom of the pot. The water goes through, the soil does not. You will find that your pots keep the soil much longer if you use a coffee filter. They're not exactly recycling, because you can't recycle one that's been used, but you can find them at estate sales really cheap. I got to go to another estate sale, I'm nearly out of those. It's Halloween. You know these, I don't give away candy at Halloween. I give away fun things. These are those little bands that light up. And last year I had a package of them left over. And I thought, there's got to be a use for that. I am not going to throw away that piece of plastic. So I had a rose bush that was beginning to climb. And I needed to support the rose bush. These things snap together. And they stay. Now, the one that you see in the photograph was still lit. But the lighting does eventually go away. I mean, they come in pink and blue and green and what have you. But it's a great reuse for something that will end up in the trash. If you like vegetables and you like to grow your lettuce and some things like that, and you're short of space, find somebody who's replacing their gutters and ask the gutter man if you can have the old ones. Because you can attach it to a wall or anything else. You have to put the cap on, and you have to drill some drainage holes. But you can have a summer's worth of lettuce in your own garden. You know, you grow the first 4 feet 1 week, and you add the seeds the next. So you have a constant harvest of small things that have short roots. Cabbage, spinach, anything like that. Old gutters. They're going to be taken to the landfill unless you rescue them. Pool. I've never bought a bucket in my life. I have a swimming pool, and so I always have buckets that have had something in it for the pool. Kitty litter buckets are great. Most of them have really tight lids. And if you break a mirror, or you have an old mirror in your house, and you want to add some feeling of expansion in your garden, put up a mirror. This garden does not extend through that gate. It's a mirror. And they happen to put the mirror behind the little gate so it looks like the garden extends. Mirrors in gardens really can add another dimension. Pantyhose. You all know the pantyhose one, where you cut up your pantyhose into little strips and you tie up your roses with it. Why is it an advantage to tie up roses with pantyhose? Because it stretches. And so you're not going to be binding the stalk. You're not going to be tightening those stalks. Another reason why you can use these is because they're big enough that they don't bind. Netting, you get things like apples and potatoes and things like that. Again, I needed to kind of keep two plants away from each other. So I used my trusty wires, and I stretched some of the netting across it, and I was able to keep the two plants separate. I have a box in my house. When I've used something, I buy some potatoes, and then I go, I'm not going to throw this away. It may come in useful. And it goes in the box. And so this was one of the things that happened to be in the box one day, and I thought, I've got to keep these plants separate. Netting. Baby food jars. My son is 52 years old. I still have baby food jars from him because I keep nails and screws and everything like this. And I was saving some seeds one day, and I thought, you know, baby food jars would be good, but you don't want to put it just in the baby food jar and close the lid. You've bought a pair of shoes lately? What does the shoe come with? Comes with this little desiccant pack that tells you not to eat it. But you can put it in the baby food jar to keep the seeds dry. Don't ever throw those away. You're always using something that you don't want to get wet. And so the little packs, you just throw in that box because you will end up having a use. Tall plants, creating supports for tall plants. Bamboo. We're looking for somebody who wants to get rid of their bamboo. Metrocrest wants to make more bamboo poles. So if you know anybody who wants their bamboo cut down, let us know. We'll come and trim it for them. But bamboo is a great use. And if you go to England, a lot of the really fancy gardens and everything like that, they will use bamboo in their supports. This one happened to be at the Antique Rose Emporium down near College Station. They use bamboo and string to hold up their tall plants. Not expensive. If you don't have to buy the bamboo. Don't go to the garden store and buy bamboo. It's awful stuff when for some reason they have find. But find somebody who's got some bamboo because they would love to get rid of some of it. These little teepees made of bamboo. This happens to be my sister's garden, and around the base of it, she reused some of that plastic netting that something had come in at one particular time, just to have the plants start. Mottersfont Garden is a fabulous garden. If you ever go to England, and particularly if you're into roses, the Mottersfont Gardens in Sussex have the most incredible rose gardens. It's a wall garden. It's been there about 200 years. They have roses that are over 100 years old in that garden. And they use bamboo and pieces of lumber that they've cut down somewhere, and pieces of branch that they tie together and have the roses grow up into their trees. Here they've used the bamboo to do an esplanade on the wall. It's just bamboo and string. Doesn't have to be very expensive. Antiques Rose Emporium does that a lot, as does Farmer's Branch. These were just pieces of cedar which they interwove in order to support their roses. And they have teepees made out of them. And the Dallas Arboretum has used branches that they've cut down, and when they're trimming the trees, they use those branches in order to make these rather nice kind of gateways into various parts of the Arboretum. This one I found, I don't use vinegar so much in my garden because having a zero lot line garden, you have like 7 feet between your neighbor's house and my house, and a path down the middle, and if I was to put vinegar on my path, it would spread too quickly into my real plants. But if you do happen to use vinegar on your plants, this I thought was a brilliant idea. If you're pouring vinegar down, you don't know where it's been, where you have already been, add some blue food dye to it, and you can see where you went. Mottersfont Garden showed me that one. Compost bin. Expensive in these little catalogs. That price was from 10 years ago. Much better. Go to any large store and buy a trash can with a lockable lid. Important to have the lockable lid. What you do is you cut off the wheels, you cut off the bottom of it, and you go and you set it in your flower garden or your vegetable garden, where you think ultimately you may want the compost. And you drill holes in it, and you start composting in the bin. Trash bin's going to cost you maybe $16 to $20, but much cheaper than the other ones, and very easy to use with the lockable lid. Some people will do two. You fill one up, stir it up a little bit. When that one's cooking, you start another one. So again, it's much cheaper. Again, zero lot line house. I don't have place to pile a huge compost bin, so this is a great idea. Water barrels. Those of you who are master gardeners are probably into conserving water. You can spend a lot of money on a fancy water barrel, but you can get food drums, food containers. We call them butts in England. I think it's a different term here. I used the word water butt, and somebody had no idea what I was talking about. I said, that thing over there that's holding my garden water. But you can buy those pretty inexpensively still. And so all you need to do is you've got to add a faucet at the bottom and a hole at the top to gather the water. You need a few little tools to be able to do that. But it's not hard to do and considerably cheaper than buying a fancy one in a catalog. You need a drill bit that will do a big enough hole. You need some glue to put the netting on the top of the hole that you cut in the top, the barrel. And pretty much that's what it's going to look like when you're finished with it. Then you've got to get a way to get the water down into the barrel. I found 3 different ways of doing that. Again, unfortunately, I had to spend money, but this one is on one of my barrels, and the water goes down and it flows into the barrel through that horizontal pipe until the barrel is full, and then it just goes down the drain pipe. So you're not overflowing your barrel. If you just put your gutter down into your barrel while your barrel gets full, the water just flows over the top and can do some damage. This way, the water goes down into the ground. This is what that looks like when it comes out of the package, and it's very easy to use. This is the latest one I found, and you make it, this comes with the drill bits in the package. And you drill a hole in the side of your gutter, your downspout, tie it in, you do it at the correct level with your water barrel, and the water flows into the water barrel, and then when the water barrel goes down. Took me maybe 10 minutes to install this one. I think this one was like maybe $21. I did have the names on these, but apparently I'm not supposed to advertise. I can tell you later what it was. And this is one that I have not tried. I don't like this one as much because, to me, it looks like the water would overflow the barrel. And the other two, the barrel does not overflow. This is something that I really want to promote. Reuse bottles. And you're all going, what the heck is that for? This is my little example. You take your bottles and you cut the bottom off and you drill a hole in the top and you lock them together and you put a piece of bamboo through it and you collect enough of these and you get some staples and you staple the whole thing together and you build a frame. And the bottles can be any size. And you build a mini greenhouse. That's basically how that's done. I would love to see a school do this project. It's not going to be airtight, obviously. It's not going to be, unless you put a roof on it, it's not going to be watertight, but it would be a great place for a school to start their seedlings and things like that. And talk about a recycling project. That would be a fabulous recycling project. So I'm hoping that some school around here somewhere decides to do this project. And that's me for today. I hope you all learned something. Yes, I'd be glad to take some questions. Well, if I was to do it, unfortunately I can't attach anything to my neighbor's house. But if you put a drip irrigation system in there, one of the ones that have holes fairly frequently, you could certainly keep that very moist, very easily. You've got to put holes for drainage, but you don't have to put too many. And you have to add the caps to the end, otherwise everything falls out. And you have to have a hole, something to hook it on. You just put your soil in there and your seed in there, particularly things like lettuce that grow pretty fast and have very shallow roots. Anything like that would grow very well in that kind of stuff. As I said, I'd love to do it, but I don't think my neighbor would agree to me.
Okay, we're going to change gears here a little bit. We're going to go from frugality to someone who's incredibly generous. And if a person could be designated the ruling monarch of a plant species, Cindy Bowles is the queen of Acer palmatum. We're going to honor the queen with the Making a Difference Award. Cindy is in the class of 2013, and she has amassed over 1,000 volunteer hours. She's contributed in multiple areas of the association, including serving as the 2013 class captain. She has done grading for the Master Gardener School. Has contributed many articles for the DCMGA website and has provided descriptions for several hundred plants for the At-Home Botanist program. Additionally, Cindy helped write the safety manual that won a Search for Excellence award from the Texas Master Gardener Association. She is serving in the Speakers Bureau since 2019 and is the go-to speaker when the topic of Japanese maples is requested. She opened her home to the 2022 garden tour and again recently stepped up, opening her home to host the Spring Japanese Maples Sale pickup point when no location could be secured. And speaking of Japanese maples, Cindy has written the descriptions and provided the photos for each cultivar for every Dallas County Master Gardener Association Japanese maple sale since its inception in 2021. The sale is always a sellout and is a very successful fundraiser for the association. I thoroughly enjoyed watching the nationally circulated Mr. Maple's YouTube show segment, which stars Cindy counting down her 5 favorite Japanese maples, and I've listed those maples on the slide here because I knew there would be people who would have questions. And the segment is very educational, but it also contains a shameless plug from Cindy for Master Gardeners. Cindy has an infectious enthusiasm, is consistently generous with her time, her knowledge, with both the public and with her fellow Master Gardeners, and she has inspired all of us to do more. Cindy, would you come up and get your award?
I am humbled and honored, and there are so many people here who deserve to be recognized more than I do, but you've just made my heart happy. I really thank you for this wonderful, wonderful thing. I appreciate it very much.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. We have a quorum, which I'm very excited to tell you, because we are also here to nominate our new board going forward. So let me see, as my duty and privilege as the nominating committee chair to present the following slate of candidates for the upcoming term, January 1, 25 to December 31 of 2026. Teague Thompson has verified that all candidates are in good standing as stipulated in the DCMGA bylaws. Candidates, stand when your name is called, please. Glenn McGee as president. Lisa Longmiller, first vice president. Janet Lane as second vice president. Anne Marie Krupp as treasurer. I don't think she's here, she works full time. Okay, Christine Lichtenwater as secretary. And then those are the board positions. And then the next set are directors at large, Lorraine Hellenhusen, and director at large, Tamara Luce. Okay, and the TDMGA directors, first position, Don Heberlin, and Shay Mayberry for the second position. Our alternates for the Texas Master Gardener Director will be Joellen Noby and Lisa LeClave. Financial Review, Sharon Wright, with current members Cindy Large as chair and Joe LeBay. Then the nominating committee members will be Ned Buxton and Margaret Rosansky. Thank you so much to everybody who was willing to help guide our association into the future. And I would like to also thank Fern, Lewis, Helen, and Cynthia as my helpers on the committee. So thank you for that. Do I have any questions? Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept this slate of candidates? Beverly? Okay. And a second? Monica? Okay. Any discussion?
Outstanding job.
Oh, thank you. Okay, all approved. Raise your card. There we go. All voting members. Okay. All righty, all opposed. The motion carries. Debbie, put your hand down. We're voting for, not against, okay? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you to all the candidates for their willingness and desire to enrich our association with their new leadership. And many thanks again to my committee. So thank you very much for your time and trouble.
Okay, so if you are on this year's board, can you please stand? I know Glenn is here, Nancy, Leslie, Abby, Sue's around somewhere. There she is. I would like to thank these folks. They have been enormously helpful throughout the past 2 years. They've done an outstanding job. It's such a joy to work with. Thank you all. I appreciate your time and energy. And I would also like to thank all the committee leads. So if you lead a committee, can you please stand? I know Cynthia's here, Barry's here, yeah, Cookie, Barbara. Thank you all. We greatly appreciate your support. I know you all have put in hundreds of hours, and it's been very much appreciated. There is a PKS update from AgriLife. A couple of issues came up this year, and because of that, Ziamata has decided that PKS hours, that 6 hours that everyone's required to do as a part of their certification, is no longer a requirement, but we still highly encourage everyone to provide horticulture research-based knowledge out to the public. So please continue to enter it in VMS, and we will keep tracking it, but it's no longer a certification requirement. Any questions on that? That's not an association issue. That's all AgriLife. So, okay, moving forward, we have another request from AgriLife. They would like us to document and maintain how many pounds of produce are produced in each of the Master Gardener gardens. So a designated person has been assigned. We have Fatma Afsin, for rain catchers, Kay McGinnis for Temple Emmanuel, and Mary Claire Milner for Irma County Farm. If we're missing any garden that produces produce for the food banks, please let us know and we'll get you added to this list. And those folks, and only those folks, will be entering the number of pounds of produce that the Master Gardeners help support, and they will be entered into BMS. However, if you are part of one of those gardens and you participate in the growing, or in the other activities for maintaining and getting that food out to the food bank, whether that is weighing produce, preparing produce, boxing produce, or delivering produce, there is a new category that we'll be using in VMS called produce distribution. So please put your hours into that category. All right, a couple of plugs here. Taste of the Garden. We have one coming up on Friday. So as of September 30th of this year, only 39% of us have met our certification requirements. I imagine that's substantially higher right now due to the state fair, but I haven't seen the updated numbers yet. So for those who need hours, come to the Taste of the Garden on Saturday. And that first one is at the Oak Cliff Gardens. That's the Japanese garden at Kidd Springs Park. And Janet Lane was telling me just before this meeting, Janet, come on, stand up, Janet. So I've got the mic, but Janet was telling me that this Japanese garden was named Best Park in Dallas in 2024 by the Dallas Observer. So come out, check it out, and help support it. Sign Up Genius entries were a little bit slow, so we're hoping to gain a little momentum today and get some more folks out there. And the next Taste of the Garden will be November 10th at Temple Emmanuel, and that will be from 8:30 to 11. And sign up was also a little slow on that, so we would love to have some more folks out there, especially those of you who are having struggles meeting your certification hours. And the tree team. If you're on the tree team, can you stand? I know Cindy's here. Anybody else? Sandy? Thank you. So the tree team has gotten together and they're going to be presenting at the Bath House on Thursday, November 7th, and they're going to be teaching us about which trees will do well in our area and what these local homeowners can plant. So come join us. It also includes some type of art activity. I don't know yet what that will be, but it's typically an hour on the art activity and an hour on the presentation. And that's a collaboration that we have with the Dallas Arts and Culture Division. I'm just going to proceed now with a quick review of what we've already talked about in previous meetings. Dues are due, so if you would like to join the association, we would be forever grateful. And dues are currently $30 if paid before the end of the year, and $40 if paid next year. Lorraine, raise your hand, Lorraine. It's been very helpful in tabulating that, getting PayPal, Square going. Thank you, Lorraine. Some of the benefits that we have going on, if you decide to join the DCMGA, you will get limited accident and liability insurance. It covers the initial cost of the graduation and anniversary badges, covers the cost of recognition awards, covers the cost of state level membership, $5 there. It will enable you to serve as a board or committee member. And it also provides lunch at the annual business meeting that you all enjoyed today. Also, I'd like to point out the DCMGA provides community support as well as support to the Dallas County Master Gardener AgriLife. So we have funding for the DCMG website that is provided by the association. The annual scholarship, which I mentioned earlier, has just gone up from $2,500 in 2024 to $5,000 in 2025. And we also fund the DCMG projects. The DCMGA membership does not include the mandatory $12 every 3 years, and that covers your background check and the volunteer agreement training. Okay, the communications team has asked that I clarify what I said at the last meeting. So the website had a tab on there that used to be called Members Only. And it was a misunderstanding I had that it was never intended to be just DCMGA members. That tab is for all Dallas County Master Gardeners. And it has been renamed to clarify that to be DCMG only. So it's no longer DCMGA or members only. It is all Dallas County Master Gardeners. And that tab has the nuts and bolts of the Dallas County Master Gardeners. It has the news, the association documents, the resources, changes to reporting hours, any of the day-to-day news that we need to share with y'all comes through that page. Yes, Glenn McGee, who is a member of this church, and they were very gracious and lovely in letting us have this meeting here today. Jennifer Anderson is also a Master Gardener who maintains the garden outside. She's been a Master Gardener, I believe, since 2011, is that right? And I can't read that font from here. So she and Glenn, or maybe just Glenn, will be giving a tour of the garden. So if you would like to tour the beautiful gardens outside, just meet at the back of this room at the end of the meeting, and Glenn will lead a tour. And thank you all for coming today. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your voting. And go vote if you have not voted already. Next meeting is back at CC Young, Saturday, November 23rd.